Shelley calls it Little Richard.
Yes.
I'm Ron Gillum.
Nice to meet you face to face. Not just a name behind a posting back there. Yeah.
I want to shake your hand too. I know too. I see you on Michael Hughes.
Yep, I got on there.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice over here.
Put a face with your name.
Yep. That's one thing coming here. You meet people everywhere.
Yeah. That's why I like this.
I didn't know about it, but I came in from a slope on Thursday night. So I knew this was here, so I got it.
You're like, yeah.
The only two people I haven't met here is George and Neuman.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to share. We are live at the Wasilla Senior Center for the town hall for our constituents today. As you can see, we have a really packed room. People are showing up all over the place from all over the valley to come and talk to our representatives before they go and hide themselves in Juneau. Today is expected to be an extremely lively event. Hopefully everybody can hear really good. Someone give me a thumbs up out there or say the sound is awesome. That's all I want to know. We have a full house of representatives. Nice to see you, Susan from Soldotna. Hi, Marcy. Good to see you. Don't forget to share. If you've watched many of my videos in the past, you know Facebook squeals on you if you don't share.
That could be true too. Oh, really? That's what I'll do on Monday. Thank you.
This is our first video running with this camera with 4K quality, so we should be doing phenomenal for picture today. Got a full house of legislators here. Don't forget to ask your questions if you have any. I'm not sure if I'll be speaking today myself asking questions, but if it's something extremely relevant, I will make sure that I get a chance to speak later on this evening. We're expected to be here for the next 2 hours. It should begin here shortly. I have front row seating here front with everybody. Should be able to see everything crystal and hear things crystal clear. As always, don't forget to share. Facebook squeals on you if you don't share. Glad to see more people showing up.
I don't. Let me go find out.
If you're running your own pages out there, make sure you share them on your pages. We need a lot of Alaskans to be able to see and hear what is going to about ready to happen in Juneau this year for the fiscal 21 budget.
Hello. Good morning. We can have our legislators start coming up to the front. And if you haven't already, please make sure you sign up for testimony in the front table back there where Angie is, who's waving her hand around. Thank you again, and welcome to our pre-session town hall for the Mexican delegation. My name is Senator David Wilson. I'll help be your moderator today. The reason for the town hall again is just our annual pre-session so we can listen to the folks. This is more of a listening session from the folks that are our constituents, and the time that we can soak this information in before we head down to represent you in Juneau. We're going to listen, see what's important, and focus upon what's up for the upcoming session. This is how we're going to proceed today. We're going to start with legislator introductions, just your name and the district that you're from. Try to keep this short because, again, this is your time. After that, we'll open up to public testimony. Folks will have 2 minutes for testimony. What we're going to ask, if you can state your name, any affiliation, and where you're from, so that help us sort of pinpoint for which constituents that we may need to follow up with, and and legislators will be here afterwards to answer any questions from the constituents. So this is again your time to talk to us, and then afterwards legislators will stay around to answer questions. And our contact information is also on the back table where you signed up if you want to do additional follow-up with us as well. And last but not least, please let's be respectful of each other. There's lots of folks here. It takes a lot of time to go through a lot of general applause, a lot of feedback type questions. So we're here to try to respect your time as well. If you're here from multiple organizations, if you can have one point person sort of speak for the organization, or just say, show of hands how many people, are with this organization so we can understand the gist of the concept and the brevity of what you guys are going to talk about. And again, we want to thank the Wasilla Area Senior Center and Chuck Foster. I'm not sure if he's here. Oh, there's our representative, Marlene, yes. Thank you again for allowing us to be here today. We can give them a round of applause. And with that, we'll start with introductions, and I'll pass the mic all the way down to District 8, Rep. Newman.
All right, well, I'm Representative Mark Neuman. I represent the area north of Wasilla and west of Meadow Lakes, Big Lake, Point McKenzie, and Connect. Proud to do that for the last 15 years. Thank you for all you do and your seniors here.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm DeLena Johnson, and I represent District 11, which is the core area, going from Lazy Mountain over to the city limits of Wasilla. Good to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you.
Sorry, I'm a little bit sick myself. This is Mike Shower, Senator for District 8. We go all the way up to DLA through the north part of home, Wasilla, all the way up to the North Pole, Valdez, Glen Ellen, Whittier, and I think like Florida. So, we're happy to be here. Look forward to hear what your feedback is, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. I'm Shelley Hughes, Senator for District F, and I'm so thankful I don't have his district. Mine is everything that Representative Johnson described, so the Palmer area, but also when you listen to Representative Tilton, her area, which is District 12, and it's basically greater Palmer area, Chuquiac, and then parts of Mount Sioux, the Fairview Loop area.
And again, I'm Senator Wilson. My district is the greater Wasilla city limits, going all the way out to Point Mac, to Big Lake, Meadow Lakes, and one of my favorite representatives.
Hi, everybody. I am Representative Colleen, Sullivan, Leonard, and I represent the greater Wasilla area to also include the Lakes District, Cottonwood, Finger Lake, Wasilla, Lake Lucille. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for a full crowd today, even despite the darn cold out there. Thanks for coming in. And I don't know if we had a chance to say it, but there is hot coffee and hot water in the back if anybody wants coffee or tea. So anyway, I look forward, and cookies. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cathy Tilton. I am in House District 12, which is Peters Creek, Eklutna, the Butte and Palmer, Fairview Loop, the whole length of Fairview Loop, and so that has some of KGB in it as well. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. My name is George Rauscher. I'm District 9. And that's basically the eastern section of the Mat-Su Borough all the way to Valdez, Glen Allen Delta, and the northeast corner of Palmer and the Palmer-Fishhook area.
Morning, Representative David Eastman, and I represent the Matsu ward generally, and it touches the tip of Palmer on the right side, goes out to Squentin on the left side, up to Talkeetna, and then farther on the north side, so rural Matsu. Thank you.
All right, just before we begin, we also just want to thank, I see a couple of state officials here. I know we have Toss Molden from the governor's office is in the building, waving his hand. I also see a lot of folks from DPS. We see the Commissioner Price. We see Colonel Wilson and Captain April are also here in the back. And I know there's a lot of folks from Matsu Borough, from the Assembly, and from the school board. And I also see Board of Regents from the UA is also here with us today. So there's lots of folks here representing, and Commissioner Chewbacca. Deputy Commissioner Chewbacca is also here as well. So just want to say thank you for attendance as well. With that, I'm going to apologize now for your name. I may butcher, so please bear with us. First to testify is Ron Johnson, and he's going to be followed by Melanie McCall.
You did a good job on that name, Senator. Thank you.
Melanie.
Good afternoon, Senators and Representatives. I am very proud to get up here and address our Valley delegation. I'm here today to encourage you. Is this on? Yeah.
Take that off the time, please. How's this? All right. Thank you for having us this morning and here to listen to our concerns. I'm here this morning. My name is Ron Johnson. I live in House District 12 in Dubuque. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here representing several hundreds, no, probably several thousand conservative Republicans here in the Valley. I've got a certificate for each one of you. And what we want to say is we know that when we started the 31st legislature, we elected a Republican governor. We elected a very conservative Republican delegation from the Valley. You went to Juneau and you did exactly what we asked you to do. We stood on, and you stood, and you ran on a Republican Party platform, which is small government, individual freedoms and liberties, as did our governor and several other senators and representatives around the state. Now, we were thrown to the wolves in the House by some wayward Republicans, but I'm here to say that you stood firm, and we're here to say thank you. We know that 2019 was a very, very rough year for you, especially in the House. Now, it wasn't much better in the Senate, but especially in the House. And we're here to say thank you. We appreciate what you did. You represented our values very, very well. We have a certificate of appreciation. It says, you faithfully stood in 2019 with our governor, Michael J. Dunleavy, to reduce crime, curb spending, right-size our state government, protect our PFD and the permanent fund. We commend you for faithfully protecting the life, liberty, and property of your constituents against ever-encroaching government. This is signed by Mike Alexander, President of the Alaska Republican Assemblies, representing several hundred conservatives. Signed by myself, Region 2 representative for the 6 organized Republican organizations in the Valley. It's signed by Valley Republican Women President Edna DeVries, Matsu Republican Women's President Alice Massey, each of the 6 district chairs, Glenda Ledford, Bill Kendi, Harold Carmen, Todd Smolden, Bill Kendig, and last, Thomas Williams. We just want to say from several thousand conservative Republicans in the Valley, thank you, thank you, thank you. Our marching orders continue on as you did in 2019. We cannot be defeated as we stand together. Thank you very much for what you did. We want to encourage you to stand strong again this second half of the legislature. Melanie McCall, followed by Brian Largent.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Melody McCullough. I have met each and every one of you at the special sessions, PFD meetings. My face has been involved in all of this for about 2 years now, previous to Governor Dunleavy being elected as governor. I want to also say thank you for standing firm and sticking to what each and every one of you has told me that you were going to do. The fight is not over yet. We need to remember, we the people, for the people, by the people. Everybody in the government in Juneau works for us. Everybody in this valley, everybody in this state. And some people have forgotten. You know, they're saying, oh yeah, well, I want to vote for a full PFD. Guess what? It's an election year. Yeah, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Okay? My concerns are binding caucus. Gotta go. It's gotta be thrown in the hell out of there. Yes. Full PFD. Full PFD. They need to follow the law. No new taxes without votes. Enshrine the PFD in the Constitution and cut the wasteful spending. I still see there's a lot of wasteful spending out there, special interest stuff, and you know, when Alaskans have to stand and budget their money every month because they're seasonal workers or whatever their situation may be, I expect my government to do the same. Cut the waste, get rid of the crud, and get down to the nitty-gritty of what we can actually afford. Because you know what? I have to budget my household. Why can't they budget theirs? I don't get that. You know, if it means I have to take some of the frivolousness out of my life, then so be it. No coffee? Fine. You know, no trips to take the kids to McDonald's? Okay. You know, we're very limited. My husband works 6 months out of the year. He's home 6 months out of the year. So I have to budget enough, I have to put enough away in our savings to be able to make it last from October to April when he goes back to work. Now, if I can do it with a family of 4, we're raising 2 grandchildren, then I know everybody in this room and in Juneau should be able to comprehend that concept. Thank you for your time, and again, thank you, every one of you, for giving us this opportunity to speak.
Followed by Kathleen Yerbit.
And then turn it up a little bit more. Okay.
Good morning, Mike. I'm sorry, Brian, before you begin, just if you hear that colorful, sounds like a cell phone going off, that's the 2-minute. Yes.
I will try to be brief. My name is Brian Margin. I am representing the Jonesville Public Works Area Management Planning Committee. We've been working for a little over a year. Mr. Rauscher has been working on the Jonesville area for many years. And, you know, I don't want to say it's perhaps the most significant public safety issue in the borough or in the valley, but it certainly is the most significant public safety issue in Sutton for the residents of Sutton. And so we've been working, trying to actually write a plan that the state could adopt. We've gotten some grants from various people to help us do that, since we are definitely amateurs. But we are really excited about what we might be able to do this year. But I want to just remind you, even after all that just was said about budgets, I think we understand budgets. That's why we're doing work ourselves right now. But I would certainly ask you to consider putting a line item in the budget for DNR to take this plan and get it approved by the Commissioner of DNR. But I would like to ask, how many of you have ever been to the Jonesville area? Were you scared? Anyone scared when you were up there? Okay. So, right, and it, you know, I think it has been improving in a sense. We've done some things, but anyway, so I would like you to consider that, and thank you so much for your time and for your week.
Thank you. Kathleen Yerbit, followed by Kathleen Hayes. Catherine Hayes.
My name is Kathleen Yerbit. I'm a teacher here in the Matsu Valley. A few years ago, I attended a retirement information session here at the Matsu. A memorable moment happened when the speaker revealed a piece about Social Security. It's called the windfall elimination provision. It applies to people that have paid into Social Security from other jobs before they started to teach. I worked odd jobs starting at the age of 16. I was in the Navy for 10 years. When I got out of the Navy, I put myself through school to become a teacher. I paid into Social Security. I do have a Social Security account. So at this retirement session, I was informed, as far as, and 100 other people in the room, we are penalized. When it comes time for retirement, they are going to take 40% of my Social Security. If my husband passes away before me, they are also going to take 40% of his check that would be coming to me. So it happened because when Social Security began in 1938, it was thought of that teachers and policemen and public employees have an awesome pension, they're not going to need Social Security, which was true. But then as time has gone on, it's been proven that pensions have diminished, and we know that. And so now we're in a different category, but the rule hasn't changed. So other states have opted back into Social Security for their policemen and their teachers, but Alaska is not. Alaska is one of the only 15 states that has not opted back in. Alaska has the further distinction of being the only one of the 15 states that does not have a defined benefit for their teachers and their policemen. So we are left with this retirement system that when I retire at the age of 65, I will get $767 for being a teacher here in the Valley. We have the worst retirement system in the country right now, Mat-Su Valley teachers. So the windfall elimination provision, I wish that you could look into that, research it, and try to fix it. There is discussion going on about trying to fix that, but it does need a push from you guys. So thank you.
Catherine Hayes, followed by Bill Price.
Hi, my name is Catherine Hayes. I'm just an ordinary Alaskan citizen. We're 100% American. I support our governor and our legislative branch when you follow people's thoughts on voting for the PFD. I represent my family and all my friends that are afraid to get up here and talk to you guys just because we're seniors. I'm upset with what's happened in Alaska by not letting us vote, just taking our voice away and saying, I just heard about this binding caucus rule. It's a rule, it's not a law, so it can be eliminated. I want my voice heard, and I need my PFD. I put my kids through college with it, and now my grandchildren are coming up. And so please, guys, and sales taxes, everything, let us vote. I know we voted for you to do what we wanted. You know, that's why you're there. So all I can ask for is, I know we vote, and then we vote yes again, and then we vote again and again on the same issues, and it never really happens, you know? So as a senior 35-year Alaskan, I love Alaska, not leaving, and I would like to have the PFD issue resolved. Let us vote. Come up with something, give it to us, and let us vote on it. Okay, thank you.
Followed by Rich Shapiro.
Okay. So first off, I just want to thank you, Shower, and Senator Shower and Senator Hughes and Senator Reinbold, who's not here, for basically putting your everything at risk to walk away from buying caucus and all that BS. I won't use the other word. It's rare to see politicians who are willing to actually put themselves at risk and not just their constituents. And so, okay, I said, is that better? Yeah. I said it's rare for a politician to put themselves at risk and not just their constituents. And I just wanted to thank you for that. First off, what I wanted to also say is, too many of us in the constituents and politicians seem to live in this fantasy that we can only cut our way out of this. The last 4 years have demonstrated that there is not the political will in Juneau to do that. Whether it's right or wrong, it's just not going to happen. And I'm under no delusion that something different is going to happen this term around. We've got like less than 16 people who agree with us in Juneau. Something like that. So my request is, can we change the conversation from a PFD or cuts to propose some tax, some other, so we're making a decision between a tax and a PFD cut rather than, I'm sorry, a tax, it's either cuts or taxes rather than cuts or PFDs. Because that conversation has got to change, because we're losing it, and we're going to lose it again this season, or this session. Unless I'm proven wrong, which I kind of doubt I will be. I think I'd love to see the amendments happen, but I think they're kind of a fantasy as well, because I just don't see the political will demonstrated in Juneau to do it. Please pull it off if you can, but I'm kind of losing a lot of faith in Juneau, paying attention to what's gone on over the last few years, and losing a lot of faith in some of you. The other thing that's been frustrating to watch is, it seems to me, and maybe this is just my uninformed point, but we seem to have transferred, over the last 4 years, transferred the constitutional budget reserve, which required a 3/4 vote, to the ERA, which is a majority vote, which effectively gives you guys more power to spend money. And that's frustrating, but I know my time's up and I'll get out of here. But otherwise, thanks for listening to us.
Can I just kind of swing you out for feedback on some of these, or how does that go? No. Okay.
Start him up, we can't hear him.
So next we have Butch Shapiro, followed by Michael Gerhardt.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming, and thanks all you for coming and getting involved in the government. Senators and representatives, I'm here on behalf of the representatives of community councils across the Mat-Su Valley. They include Big Lake View, Chickaloon, Lazy Mountain, Meadow Lakes, North Lakes, Susitna, Sutton, Farm Loop, Fish Hook Gateway, Point McKenzie, South Connect River, Trapper Creek, and Willow. We have a monthly meeting as the Mat-Su Community Councils for Public Safety since April of 2018. Our meetings are hosted by the Alaska State Troopers at the Pittman West Trooper Station. The focus of our meetings have been to encourage a strong relationship with the troopers, share problems with representatives of other councils in order to help deal with the increased theft and other crimes within our council areas, benefit from the actions and solutions of other councils in dealing with the crimes, and present a strong voice to local and state government. As a group, we attended a 3-session Citizens Academy presented by the troopers at the Mat-Su Health Foundation back in the fall of 2018. And the experience of these meetings led us to recognize the following problems which the Valley faces. We wanted to boil them down and give them to you so you know what we're thinking. And there's, number one, there's not adequate funding for the Palmer District Attorney's Office. Bottom line, to ensure appropriate enforcement of HB 49. According to direct communication with the State Department of Law, the Palmer office will not be receiving additional legal support from the funding budget in 2019, and the office is lacking attorney staff. Second thing, the staffing study published by the University of Alaska Justice Center in February of 2018 recommended an increase of 26 sworn staff. The troopers are facing difficulty retaining troopers, partly due to the lack of a defined retirement benefits package. Goes back to what the young lady said. So these are crucial issues which would strongly affect crime in the Valley, and we ask you to address these problems during the upcoming 2020 legislative session and reach the appropriate funding solutions. And to recap, they were funding for additional legal support, funding for additional troopers, and detachment B, and establishment of a defined benefits plan. I know it's tough, it's money, right? But crime is definitely, and one last thing, we've seen on Facebook a lot of comments that crime is going down. I would submit that when SB 91 was in effect, crime statistics went down. If you saw crime statistics go down, it's because people weren't being put in jail, bottom line. So, thank you.
Michael Garhart, followed by Dave Maxwell.
I'm Michael Garhart. I'm Lazy Mountain Jim's brother. Lazy Mountain Jim followed the PFD every year. In June, he would call up to find out what the deposit's supposed to be. The money didn't go into the account until 5 to 6 months later. He tracked it from 99 through 2011. During that time, $27.3 billion had been stolen out of the fund. He spent 10 years questioning the state of Alaska legislature. Over half of them, he questioned them. I have tapes coming out pretty soon. I've got it all on video. I'm going to release it all to the public of him questioning our state legislators and where that money went. There was only 6 of them that said, we're going to get you answers, Mr. Garhart. He never got one. He passed away in 2012. I have his notes and everything that I could save. His house, I came up, changed the locks, got broken into 26 times in 3 years. They were stealing things, everything they could take. I left them notes. And then I sold it at a loss because you can't stop them, especially with SB 91. That was a joke. That was a joke on the public. Should have never been passed. The road on KGB out here, I drive it every day. I'm getting ready to move over to Riverdale Estates. From Testoro going out, the road is rutted. The rumble strips are too close. They're on the line or inside the line. You catch that. When you come off of it, it throws you towards the other lane. The ruts throw you back and forth too. That could be, I don't know where all the accidents are happening, but I suspect that's the worst area. When it rains, the water is at the low spot there by the Tesoro too, and that throws you also. That could be addressed. As far as road service, I've been living over by Bogart. When it snows, they don't plow nothing. I leave at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, the roads aren't plowed at all, or during snow time. Later on, when the road's plowed, I'll hear 4 of them going by in a row, scraping the road, one after the other at 1:30 in the morning, which wakes me up. It can be addressed. We can make better efficiency in all areas. No matter what area it is, we can do it better. And thank everybody here. They're the best we have. Thank you.
We have Dave Maxwell, followed by Ralph Kermit, Winter.
Dave Maxwell from Palmer. You know most of you. I used to work for the Department of Corrections, and he retaliated against a whistleblower. It's not resolved yet, and I don't anticipate it ever getting resolved unless I actually take action against the state. That isn't because I haven't done due diligence, because I have. That's just my introduction. But 2 months ago, we heard a question on Mike Ricardo's show. Gentleman calls in, and I think he represents everybody here if we were to think about your state prison system. Here's the question. So we were sold the idea that we were going to build Goose Creek, and the purpose of that facility was to bring back the inmates that were in Arizona. Not long after that, we shut down Palmer Corrections. What the hell? Don't they know what they're doing? It's a good question. I had nothing but, oh my God, I got to call in and answer the question because the public is begging for an answer. So a year ago, we were all sitting in Palmer at the Senior Center. Shelley, you have the answer. The answer was, why was Palmer Corrections shut down? Your answer was, because of corruption. That was your statement. I have an observation at this point. And the observation is, what have we done to correct the idea of corruption within the state system? Because that's where our budgetary problems really lie. I don't think we've done anything. I honestly don't think so. And I'm not sure what all the reasons are, but I can tell you it's because you're not addressing it. There are ways to do it. You may have your hands tied because of unions and all the rest of it, but I'll tell you what, if you put your minds together, you can probably figure out ways to say, we should not be feeding that system until we get to the bottom of it. Today, let me do one more thing. Shelley, about 6 months after that, I gave you a document. It was at Wasilla Junior High School when we had that debacle. The document looked like that. Ombudsman, Blast Palmer Prison report. Official took heroin home, prison violated inmates' rights. The rest of the story is that the heroin was confiscated from an inmate, taken home by a staff member, reintroduced back into the system, which is a federal crime, and there's no consequence. Part of your corruption that exists is very blatant. The Ombudsman reports it, and still nothing gets done. It wasn't just Dave Maxwell speaking at that point. That wasn't official. Still nothing. What's it going to take to get to the bottom of the corruption? So, if I might, I got an opportunity because of my shower. Tremendous thank you. Really, truly thank you. Because of you and because of Mike Donnelly himself, to go talk to Nancy Dahlstrom and Kelly Good, Commissioner, Vice, or Deputy Commissioner today. I presented documents to them that they, I think, were overwhelmed by. 2 hours of discussion. And part of those documents came down to her, Nancy Dahlstrom's, decision to say, enough. We are going to send the prisoners out of state. That, in context to the question, now the public knows why we're sending them out. Because she is now under the, she's under the understanding that the state, we cannot do this anymore. We don't want to build a corrupt system until we get to the bottom of the corruption. I will wrap it up, and this is my last statement. So why have we given money to open back up the systems and to create more of it when we don't get to the bottom of it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Next is Ralph, followed by Honky Lee.
My name is Ralph Kermit, Leonard II. I'm a legal researcher. I file lawsuits. I know our problems. I beat the IRS. And what I'm doing, I'm here to get you guys, if you want to work with me, fine, because here's what's coming. I've already sued a judge in Dillingham, Christina Reed. We have no constitutional judges in Alaska because we have the third venue, the venue is the third district. The bar took it over and made it the third judicial district. So now I can sue a judge. I have the cases, I've already done it. And I'm giving you, you guys probably won't work with me. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I'll give you a card. Because here's what's coming. I'm going after Vanessa Ray, our white over here, not the borough, because we don't own our property, we don't own our cars. I've got all this documented. I'm going to put this stuff into the Goose Creek Correctional Facility. Because you see, I've got a real captive audience, people would like to get out of jail. I don't want them out of jail. I'm willing to work with you guys and give you this stuff, and let's get our republic back. Because there's not one constitutional judge in the whole Alaska. Number two, I have all of the 50 state plans where you use the child custody, CSSD, the court system, the law. Guess what they do? They're all Code of Federal Regulations, but in there they have cooperative agreements. The CSSD, which is supposed to be executive, has a cooperative agreement with the court. I have a contract. You know what it says in 6B, Article 6B? The judge is audited for the amount of money he makes for everybody. They split the money up so they can get grant money. And they put bounties on our children for adoption. I got all, this is all documented. Don't believe anything I say. Now, I would like to work with you guys if you want to get around. I don't expect to hear from you. Because very few people can stand the truth. There is no republic in Alaska. It's all a con. I know the corruption now. I've been doing this for 20 damn years. I filed lawsuits all the way through to the Supreme Court. And I've got several going right now. I'm willing to work with you if you want to get our court system back, if you want to get CSSD to actually be doing something that they're supposed to be instead of stealing and auctioning your children. And the other thing is you're all under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. None of you are public officers in the state of Alaska. You don't have the proper oath of office. There's not even elections for a public officer. They're all federal. It's right on the internet. I have Westlaw. The same thing that all the attorneys have. The big powerful one. I'm dealing with them. So I would like to hear from you. You got my card. But if I don't, I'm coming. I'm going to get my republic back. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Followed by a Barry Monsell.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Lee, and I am running against Senator David Wilson this year as a Republican. But Senator David Wilson, fantastic senator. I have nothing against him. He's fantastic. Anyway, so crimes. So I have written several people's paper articles about it. So basically, let's say I become senator. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'll make sure prisoners work in prison. All right. So basically, the idea is we're going to discipline prisoners so that they learn how to work, make their own money, and we're going to let them work in landfill. Okay, so they will recycle trashes in landfill and will sell those recycled materials with profit, and we're going to run prison with that money. If that's not enough, we'll start farming Alaskan bears, and we'll start farming Alaskan moose, and we'll let the prisoner, tan those bear skin, moose skin, and carve the bones and carve all those antlers, and we sell them with profit. If that's not enough, we start selling bear wool leather to China. Okay, that makes a lot of money. Okay, so we'll make prisoners work, and we will discipline them. Okay, and we rehabilitate them. At the same time, we'll make a lot of money. And you may say that's what, slavery? I don't think so. We are all slaves. Okay, if labor is slavery. Okay, we have to work, and we should let them work, learn the value of dollars. All right. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
We have Barry Monsell, followed by Jeff Taylor.
I'm Barry Monsell, and I live here in the valley, over off the Trunk Road. First off, I want to say thank you for everything that you do for us. It almost makes me want to move to one of them other districts that need somebody to run, that's a good conservative. Because I don't really feel like I need to run against any of you guys. I'm also here as a representative of the Valley Recycling Center, and even though we don't need or ask for state support, we do want you guys to keep us in line, know that we're there, we're working, trying to keep recycling going here in the valley. Who else in this audience is a recycling supporter? Thank you all, appreciate that. It's a real challenge right now because of the markets, international markets, and the way that things are going on. And we would like to see the state and the different departments recycle more, and that's something that we can work on. Thank you very much.
We have Jeff Taylor, followed by Beth Breed.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. given to be here. My name is Jeff Taylor. I'm a resident of Alaska since 1981, off and on. It's been here for quite a while. I'm a father, a grandfather. I'm a religious leader, but I'm also a newly elected member of the school board, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve in that capacity. I don't stand here to represent the school board, though. While I will voice some things I've learned since being on there, I don't feel correct in saying I represent them.
Talk a little louder.
I said I don't feel comfortable saying I represent the school board at this moment, but I do want to voice some things. First off, I want to second the words that were said about Social Security for our public employees. I think if we could ask you to assist in getting Social Security back for them, since their pensions and all that have disappeared, it would be a great help to us in attracting and retaining teachers, especially in this area, public employees. One thing I have noticed since being elected to the school board is we are struggling with teachers in the Mat-Su Valley. Several things have been taken away from them over the years, which are costing us. And anything we can do, as simple as get back in the Social Security system, will be a great help. Also, since being on the school board, there's been a lot of talk of concern about bond reimbursement disappearing from the state. Please don't do that. To lose that bond reimbursement would be very detrimental to the school district and the setting for our kids. We'd ask that you please fight for that bond reimbursement to remain or to go back to where it was, some years ago, to assist us with that. Houston High School has been out of commission for over a year now. We have some $21 million to get that rebuilt. We estimate it's going to be about $28 million. Anything the state can do to help us get that done. It's a shame that nothing has happened at that building in over a year, since 14 months now. And anything that you guys can do to help us move that along, even if it's poking FEMA a little bit. If you have any powers in doing that, we would certainly appreciate that. As a businessman, I would like to ask you to support Governor Dunleavy with the Janus decision, or even working towards a right-to-work state. Oftentimes, unions try to run everything we do, and it affects us as small businessmen. And I would ask for your assistance in that. We can fight on an even battlefield when it comes to that. And one of the greatest things I would like to ask for you is, as I've been around in the different hats that I've worn, is anything that we can do as public citizens to bring good values back to our areas, to help kids understand that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness truly are good governing values that we should live by, and that we can teach them to work, that we can teach them to become beneficial citizens of the area and help us lift our area by doing so. Anything that we can do, if you can do as legislators, or teach us how we can do better, it will certainly be appreciated and help alleviate a lot of the challenges we now face. But thank you for what you do. I appreciate your time. Last thing I would say is that I would hope that we can get our full PFD back. I'll leave on that note. Thank you.
We have Beth Free, followed by Sam Hansen.
Sonia says, Happy New Year to all of you. And you all know who Sonia is. She can't be here. I don't think this is on. Is this on? I can't hear it echoing, so that's why I didn't think it was there. I'm trying to get myself together. I want to thank you all for being standing strong and sticking with the principles that you told us you would follow. We truly appreciate that. Some of the old stuff that I've had staff tell me that we don't have to hear from you, we know what you want. I want spending caps. I want a cut budget. I want a full PFD. I want all of the things that were promised to us when Governor Dunleavy put forth his corrections in amendments and changes to the Constitution and all of the things that he was working for. I wish you luck at that. I know it was hard. But the new stuff is even harder. We need public advocates for our parents who are dealing with OCS and CSSD. We need people advocates for people who are trying to deal with government with no clue. We need those in our laws. Other states have whole systems of individual public advocates helping people negotiate those issues. So that's the first thing. The next thing we need are grandparents' rights. If you're going to take your children, you need to give them to their families. The President of the United States changed the priority level. He said, you work with the families in their homes, and that's the law that's on our books. He said, you do not take the kids from the grandparents if the parents were smart enough to say, we're not doing a good job. You let those kids stay with their grandparents. If you can find somebody in the community who wants them, keep them with the friends that they've grown up with. Give them to those people who are willing to take them. Don't foster them out and don't adopt them out. Do you know how much money they get for every adoption? Do you know how much money they get for every foster child? It's insanity. And it's destroying the people that are experiencing it. I am so grateful I don't have children. I am so grateful I don't have grandchildren, because I know the people who are working in the places that are taking the children would be coming after me for what I've been doing. I've been called a terrorist. One of my friends has been accused of slashing tires, and she's also been accused of having a murder investigation. These are all unsubstantiated claims, and they're wrong.
And Slim Henson, followed by Holly Sheldon Lee. And for those who have not already, if you want to speak, make sure you sign up on the sheet in the back of the room.
Hi, I'm Sam Hansen, and
You have to box on the mic.
my name's Sam Hansen, and I've been an Alaska resident since 1959. I'm going to talk to you about quality of life of your constituents. It affects all of you. I'm going to focus on the Alaska Marijuana Cultivation, Control Office's obligation to control our cultivation facilities in the valley. The Marijuana Control Office, AMCO, has to provide a notice of violation, so if there are issues with odor control. Without that violation, they do not have to do anything to change their odor control emissions. In Anchorage, there are 27 cultivation facilities, all on commercial lots. In the valley, we have 57, all on residential lots because we don't have zoning. So all of the residents around them are affected by this. In 2 years, the Marijuana Control Office provided 28 notices of violation for odor emissions in Anchorage for their 27 facilities. In the valley, in the same 2 years, they wrote 2. My neighbors in my subdivision have been complaining about the limited cultivation facility next to them during the months of June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Almost every week they call in, and they've only written 1 notice of violation in June. That facility said they fixed it, that they are continually having emissions on their property. In the summer, it was so hot, they had to close their windows and doors because it was so bad on their own property. They couldn't sit on their deck. These enforcement officers in Anchorage, there are 5 for the Marijuana Control Board. They take care of all alcohol and all marijuana licenses in Anchorage and in the valley. They're open 10 to 4. We're residential people with residential lots, so we're home after 4 and on weekends. When we experience odor, their offices are closed. They cannot get out here because they have to be present to write that notice of violation. I spoke at the September AMCO board meeting, shared all of this with them, and yet my neighbors are still reporting that they have odor on their property. These are all over. In 2018, $11 million was collected from marijuana taxes. It will be more this year. More licenses have been provided in 2019. Why can't we have an enforcement officer in the valley? They have to drive all the way to Sutton to Talkeetna to take care of our odor emissions problems for the cultivation facilities. Sometimes they can't get there to smell it. It's too short of a time. In Anchorage, when those calls come in, they are there and they write those notice of violation that day. They can't do that for us. One other comment is the drug-free zone says 500 feet setback for all marijuana and alcohol-related facilities in Alaska from a school. The borough says 1,000 from all of the schools, except for one of the licenses. The Marijuana Control Board has allowed a limited cultivation facility 60 feet from our largest elementary school because they use the shortest pedestrian route. Kids aren't going to have a map saying this is a route you use to get to it. It's 60 feet from the school grounds, the boundary of that school. It's supposed to be 500. The valley or the Matsu Borough uses a straight line to identify that distance. Anchorage uses a straight line. When you have anything to do with a marijuana licensing, see if we can take the shortest pedestrian route out when it comes to our school grounds. Let's protect our schools. I have nothing against this industry. It's happening. People are making money, and the tax collector shows that. It's going to be here. Let's take care of our residents. Thank you.
Colleen, Shelley, followed by Eugene Carl Haberman.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Holly Sheldon Lee. I grew up in Talkeetna. When I was a little girl, my dad used to secure the seatbelt in the back of our Super Cub to my ankle so I wouldn't fall out of the airplane when we were airdropping up on Denali. It was an idyllic childhood in the 70s in Alaska. It is not so much anymore. The most significant public safety issue in our state that affects our most vulnerable families and our children is coming out of the State of Alaska Office of Children's Services. Through the last few years, it's really accelerated. So with an anonymous tip or unsubstantiated information, the Office of Children's Services goes into people's homes in the middle of the night. I have not dozens, not hundreds. I have thousands of stories now from the last 6 months of people who are dealing with PTSD because of our own State Department. They're taking the children, they're bringing the troopers because the troopers are our protection and our safety into people's houses, into people's communities, and terrifying everyone. Okay, so that is established. We all know it's real because Mike said that he was going to change it when he went into office. And then Commissioner Crum in Anchorage last fall said that we should have an investigation. And then up in Fairbanks, when they were talking about it, up in Tammy's area, Al reinforced that. So then an investigator was hired, and on the very day I was going to debrief with the investigator, word came that there might be a question if the investigator has authority to investigate the Office of Children's Services. So there's some really big things moving here. There's a lot of money here. Okay, so I know I'm limited in time. I'm going to stay after if anyone wants to know any details. I have many, many details. And I've been up in Talkeetna for 50 years. And I'm just happy flying airplanes up into the Alaska Range myself. I'm very uncomfortable doing this, but we have got to get a grip. The State Department, Office of Children's Services, is run off the rails, run off the tracks. The amount of money that people are getting, if a child is special needs, they get more money, they get more federal money. If they adopt, ever since Bill Clinton changed the law, that's where the money's going. We want to eventually deflate OCS. We need to take the investigations in the social service aspect and put it into our beautiful, plump nonprofits that are family-centered, like Walk Matsu. And we need to take the state out of this trafficking. This is trafficking, and there's many examples.
That's right.
So, thank you. It's gone a little further, and I'll only take another second. I know I need to wrap it up. We've been retaliated against, us normal people that run businesses, teach school, do handicrafts, realtors. We all have been trying to help these families, put fires out one at a time, but we've been retaliated against. And the people in the positions of power in the public advocacy office and the public defenders, they brought word to the parents after I quietly sat behind a parent for support at the Palmer Courthouse. They brought word that the OCS attorney said that I was a terrorist. That I was part of a terrorist organization that threatens judges' lives and OCS workers' lives. I don't know where these people came from. I'm from here, and this is totally unacceptable. I spoke with the troopers. The troopers can't do anything. It's hearsay. But now my husband, who has flown for 39 years in Talkeetna mountain flying, mind you, up in the range, 39 years, does not need someone coming up and saying, hey, I hear Holly's being called a terrorist. He's done his time. He needs to relax. Anyway, things are really, really serious. We really need you guys to stand up for this. We really need to do just some rudimentary changes. And the first thing is the investigation. The investigation, if it's not proper or lawful to do the investigation with the Department of Administration, for heaven's sakes, change it. Make it so. You guys are in the power to do this. This is our generation. We've got to protect Alaska.
We have Eugene Carl Haberman, followed by Russell Gray. My name is Eugene Carl Haberman. I'm an Alaska resident for over 40 years, resident in Anchorage for approximately 20, and over 20 years a resident in Matsu Valley. Currently. What I'm going to talk about is what I've said over the years. The last several years, I've seen a policy of indifference. Yes, a policy of indifference. Whether it's in Anchorage or in the Matsu Borough or in the state. We are in a budget crisis. It's been going on for several years. Several billions of dollars have gone per year, roughly. And we made our savings. What have we done about it? The situation is more critical, and the direction is taken both in the Valley and in Anchorage, particularly in Anchorage right now, where they're calling for 3 town hall meetings next week. Town hall meetings where 90 minutes apart, 3 different locations. They're going to discuss and do a sell job and moving into finding the money. Find the money in dealing with taxes, whether it's a sales tax or a vendor tax or whatever. That's the direction they're taking. In the Valley, in the past year, the Borough Assembly had scheduled 2 public hearings for a borough sales tax. It was advertised, both of them, and the result was, in the beginning of the second public hearing of the meeting, the Borough Assembly mayor decided that, no, we're not going to have a second public hearing. So the people who attended didn't want to speak on that public hearing on the borough sales tax were denied the right to speak on it because they ended it there. There wasn't going to be a second public hearing. By the way, point of record is everyone that testified at the first public hearing went against it. And my comments to them at the time is this. Before you move in dealing with taxes and find those revenues in that direction, you need to show the public you've done everything you can with the existing budget. And you haven't, it has not been done in Anchorage, in the Valley, or in the state that I've seen. And it's business as usual, and it's fast-tracked to raiding other sources of money where it's not dealing with the fact that they failed to deal with the budget, both in state, local, and that's all I have to say with limited time of 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
by Tim Kelly.
Hello, my name is Russell Green. I just recently got started working with Carol Carmen and have started volunteering in District 9 for the Bishop area. I got involved because I've seen the consistent pattern over the years of not addressing the essential services that the state is mandated to provide, and we've gone in every direction but that. The budget, we consistently spent more and more money on everything across the board. Mainly, the big thing is the school systems and the Medicaid expansion. We've spent huge amounts of money on the gas line. We spent, last time I looked, it was over $1 billion. If I'm not correct, please feel free to correct me, but we've invested over $1 billion in a gas line and have nothing to show for it. Nothing other than a stack of MOUs. Where's that money? Where is that money? Okay? Before anybody should be saying, hey, you know, let's talk about a state sales tax, where does $1 billion disappear to? And then the legislature comes to us and says we need more money.
Right.
Does anybody want to pay anymore?
No.
They make $1 billion disappear and then they say, oh, gee, we're broke. I'm frustrated. I really am. I know you guys are working hard, and I really appreciate that, but we sent the legislature and the governor a clear mandate when we elected you guys of what we wanted. We know that there's a huge spending problem. There's a bunch of things that need to be fixed. The essential services in the state are not happening. Our roads are horrible. We have huge issues with our kids in Alaska. The social services is not working for our Alaska kids. Our Alaska schools are not working for our kids. We're spending tons of money on our schools and getting the worst results in the nation for it. This has got to stop. Our kids are not being served here. And if nothing else, that's what we should be working on. Our kids are being failed. They're being failed. And this is sad. You know? Their university system, tons of money. Graduation rate of 8%. Most of our kids are going out of state to get a decent education, and then they stay out. Again, not serving our state. Okay? You guys are doing a great job. We need you guys to fight even harder in this next legislative session. You guys know what we wanted from you. We sent you a clear message. We need you guys to fight. Everybody here wants you guys to fight for us. We need a smaller government that does what it's supposed to do for Alaska. Okay? So that's what we're asking from you guys. Fight hard. And if it takes whatever it takes, if you have to shut our state down in order to keep from compromising and making it go even worse than it already is, do it, man.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. Make it right. Fix it. We've got to get this stopped. We're at a tipping point. We're out of money. We don't have any more savings. And we're at a tipping point. We're either going to turn this around and get back on a fiscal ship, or we're going to be California. That's where it's going to head. So thank you guys for all you do. Appreciate it.
Tim Kelly, followed by Mike Coons.
Looks like it is. I'm Tim Kelly, lived here for decades. You guys are the solution, you're not the problem. You're outvoted. So we, as the quote conservative heart of Alaska, need to know from you, what can we do? Because you guys are outvoted. Alaska is not efficient. I could go into any department, but we spend at the top. You know, we're paying for a Chevrolet Corvette. I really like the new one. But we're getting a Chevy Cruze for performance. You know, you open up the hood and there's a little 2-cylinder in there. So no matter where you look, you could do better performance-wise. I don't have to beat up on any particular area. It's there where you look. If we're going to solve the budget thing, you're going to have to look at the big ticket items. The biggest spending is probably education and healthcare, and you're going to get the biggest kickback from the press. The press hates you guys, every one of you. Okay, and so you're not going to get any positive press. I appreciate you taking the dirt that's thrown at you all the time. But we don't know what we can do as people to help get things turned around. You're going to run out of money, and then it's going to be either take the whole permanent fund or some kind of taxes. And I don't think anybody moved up here or lives here because they want high taxes and high regulation. Nope. So I don't know what I can do to help you. I've done what I can in the community. I've been involved since I've been here. But in a lot of respects, you're beating your head against the wall as an individual. So I'd love to hear from you. You guys have a great day, and look at that, I made it in my time.
We have Mike Coons, followed by Denny Lloyd. Thank you. I'm Mike Coons. I'm the president of the Greater Alaska Chapter of AMAC. For those that don't know, we are the antithesis to AARP. I also wear another hat. I'm on the Commission on Aging. And this year we went up to Toke for a three-day site visit up there. And that was at the same time that Bryce Edgman and Cathy Giesel was stealing our PFD again.
Right.
What I found up there was just shocking. The average senior citizen in Toke makes $1,220 a month. A $3,000, $3,100 PFD would have gone a long ways. It was 51 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity. It was $3.59 a gallon for diesel fuel. It was $175 for a cord of wood. That's not counting everything else, the food, medicine, gasoline for the vehicle, etc. So the PFDs being stolen out from those people really hurt. You know, we hear from Cathy Giesel and Bryce Edgman and the socialists that, well, we got to take care of the poor people. Well, the poor people are the ones that are getting the shaft.
That's right.
I'm getting the shaft as well. I'm not poor. I'm middle class. I'm, matter of fact, I consider myself wealthy. But that $3,100 would have added to my wealth, and I could have used that in the economy.
That's right.
So, AMAC members, we want less government. We want no income taxes, and we want the constitutional amendments to come forward. And I don't know if there's any way you guys can pull it off or not, but I would say don't vote on a budget until the constitutional amendments are heard all the way through and a vote is come forward. Do what you have to do. If you have to get nasty and snarly, do it.
Yeah.
So we fully support what Mike is talking about, looking at formulas, fixing the formulas. That's where the big money is. Let's fix the formulas. Work with Mike on that. And lastly, I fully support Shelley Hughes on your attempt to try to get a state audit at every department.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have Denny Lloyd, followed by Pete Probasco.
My name's Denny Lloyd. I own Sourdough Pond here in the valley, Wasilla in particular, and appreciate y'all coming. I know you're taking your life in your own hands, but that's the way it goes. One part of the job, right? Well, the biggest thing, there's a couple things here. One, 3 years ago, this is to the crime problem. 3 years ago, the state of Alaska initiated a program where all pawn shops report to the state troopers via a website. Well, since that's happened, we've probably seen a 90% decline in stolen property in our shops, which that's great. That's fantastic. But you know what? The valley theft problem has not gone down.
Right.
Okay. In my observation at this time, I've come up to a couple ideas. We could increase that program to involve thrift shops, even gun shows, and craft bazaars and stuff. There's so much stuff, used stuff sold at those venues that if those people, if they have a valid, there with a valid business license, it's just a matter of getting online and reporting the inventory you're taking to that, or reporting the inventory that you have on premise. Very simple program. If you're computerized, you just download it, just get it within a few minutes. And then if you have stolen property, state troopers or local police department will notify you. I think the program, that would help a lot, because I'll tell you what, I don't know where this stuff's going. The drug dealers are taking it and they're fencing it, they're doing something with it, or the people are just finding alternative ways of getting rid of this. But they're still getting their drugs, and they're still getting money to get their drugs. The bottom line. The gentleman here before me took a lot of my thunder, I have to admit it, it was great. But something that's really interesting here, you know, our governor has been in a lot of consultation with our great president, Trump. And, you know, he's one of the best entrepreneurs in the world. And he's learned something. And we better listen to what he's learned. And the thing I've seen with these new trade agreements coming about, there's going to be opportunity for Alaskans. Natural gas with China, maybe again. You know, Bill Walker was obviously on the wrong foot, but it's not a bad idea. There's other trade opportunities. Timber, you know, we have a lot of natural resources, but we have an economic problem. That's what we have. We have an economic problem. We don't have, I mean, we have a state problem, we have a bureaucratic problem, which I really think is a big problem. And once again, as the gentleman said, making everybody accountable for Shelley's initiative, that's a good way to start. Look what the president did with the VA alone. How much that's turned around. Making people accountable. That's what it's all about. Making people accountable. That's it. Bottom line. There's so much economic opportunity probably coming out of these new trade agreements. Like I said, with timber, other resources. Here our governor is trying to talk to Tesla about manufacturing in Alaska. You know why? We got cheap natural gas. Compared to the rest of the country, it's pretty good. We have a lot of land. We have a lot of opportunity. Does the state need to get involved? Well, that's always been a disaster, right? Let's look at it. What is work that the state has initiated? Not a damn thing. Okay? Everything failed. Climate change, Delta, I mean, the fish plant, I mean, well, I'll take that back. The Seward shipyard, that, you know, thank God. Anyway, there's a lot of opportunity out there. What we can do is provide opportunity as a state, as a borough, as a city. Provide opportunity. Don't get in the way. Don't try to do it ourselves or not try to figure it out, because half the damn economists in this state are idiots. Listen to them. You can tell that right there. So just get out of the way. Supply land, supply opportunity, but get out of the way. That's all I got.
Good afternoon. I'm Pete Probasco, and I've been here in the Valley now for 53 some years, a little over 53. And it's a good place, and I've learned some things in that time. My first comment, though, I'd like to strongly endorse what the first commentator said today, Ron Johnson. He talked about our delegation from the Valley, and we do have an outstanding delegation. You're all Republicans, you follow the platform, and you work together. I mean, that makes you stronger as a group of Republicans. And no other part of the state is represented in that manner. So we have excellent representation. And you can contact the legislator in our district, and normally they get back to you. Some of them are very good. Shelley and Senator Webster, You get something in their office and they always get right back to you, which I think is very good. The other thing is there's been some comments about unions. One of the things I learned when I first came to the Valley, they talked about the co-op, the telephone system and the electric pump, and they said all those races for those board members were nonpartisan. And I come from Minnesota where they have a DFL and there wasn't much nonpartisan about anything. But I learned that if you follow the money, there's not many nonpartisan things that go on in that kind of institutions in Alaska. And I think public employee unions are the most difficult thing for the state to do. Because they get together with lots of money, they elect the representatives out of their group, and then they sit on the same council, and they know it isn't like when you work for Chrysler. If you get too far out of line, Chrysler will go broke. But public employee unions have an empty well to go after. Because as long as they're citizens that can pay taxes, they can go after more money. And that really isn't fair. That's right. I like the comment the gentleman was here from the school board, comment about what the school board does. And I've had 4 children go through Valley schools. I've had more grandchildren than that go through public schools, and now I have great-grandchildren in those schools. And the schools on the average do a pretty fair job. But some of their results are pretty sad when you compare to other entities. But one of the things that I'm most disturbed about sometimes is that graduate of our school systems, when they come out of high school, they should be good citizens in every way. And a good citizen is a patriotic citizen. A good citizen is a voting citizen. And those are things that schools should really, kids should get from school systems. And I don't understand why reading is so difficult to get across the school. I went to a one-room country school. My first teacher was 18 years old. Minnesota then had a Minnesota normal business where if they went through high school, take 1 year of training, they could teach. And her goal, she said, was to ensure that every student could read. And she said that was most important in every of this. And they didn't have any, there was no public system that they could use. They didn't have movies, they didn't have overheads, they didn't have anything else. We didn't have running water. We didn't have any electricity. It was an old building when my mother went there. But the results, I think, were outstanding, simply because we had teachers, and she was young, a young lady, but she cared, and she loved kids. And most teachers do love kids, but I think there are some that don't. The other comment I think that's very important is that we support our governor. And I think this delegation does that. And I think that's very important. We have a governor that's willing to address economic issues that people should have been addressing in the last 40 years. But now they're getting at least talking about it and working on it. And some people are upset about it. But that's going to be that when you cut things. And that's very, very important. The other thing is, I like the fact that everybody on our delegation is Republicans, and you are Republicans, you think Republicans, you act Republicans. And one of the things that we all need to know about politicians, it takes more than an hour after your name to make you a good Republican.
Roger Branson, followed by Gary Mayer.
Hi, Roger Branson here. I'm a longtime advocate for consumers' mental health services, and I was fortunate to get to see many of you in Juneau last session, and this summer I was able to spend a lot of time with the homeless camps and the recovery folks, both in Anchorage and here in the Valley, and just some updates. We have a huge population of people caught up in the system that seem to rotate from 3 points, from corrections to substance abuse to mental health issues, and they're going one direction or the other. That one group of people, the other group of people is the ones that are just coming into that system. And I really want to plug groups like my home here in Wasilla, and Covenant House in Anchorage, and the work they're doing right now on the streets to give these kids options, and actually going and pulling them out of the camps. This is Hughes, a horribly vulnerable population. So with that, and the other stuff happening out there, I'm really glad to see it, the faith community stepping in with the nonprofits. I really like the Celebrate Recovery getting established in the corrections settings and those kinds, so that the people coming out of corrections can come to a group of people where they know they'll be held accountable. Accountability is huge. So mostly I just wanted to give you all the updates on that and the exciting things I see happening. I really appreciate that we didn't go too far backwards on funding this year, and that this is an effort that continues, that really deserves at least a baseline of funding, but accountability from the groups that are out there doing the work. And there are some awesome nonprofits stepping up to the plate right now. And thank you all for supporting them.
We have Kelly Mayor. Mary.
Close enough. Oops, sorry.
Followed by Berg.
I can't get it out, so hopefully you can hear me. I wasn't going to speak until I heard a lot of things today that I really feel that I need to say a few things. Kelly Mari, I live in Wasilla. I was a probation officer for over 8 years until a difficult battle with leukemia I couldn't work as a probation officer anymore. So I'm getting a fantastic education right now through the University of Alaska. I'm in my last semester of my master's in social work. So I've kind of switched gears. But what hasn't switched is my feeling of compassion for people in this valley. And I don't know if you've seen the news, but Planet Fitness is coming out here. They did these kindness acts, and they're going around and they're doing things for people in the community. And I think in our community we have forgotten how to be kind and compassionate with people. And yes, we have a crime problem here, and we have a drug problem here. But we also have some very vulnerable people that need our help. And there's a lot of resources that are available, and people are not aware of them. And people are cruel. And if you read the Facebook comments that people write about people that are struggling with addiction, they're terrible, and they're just kicking people down while it's not helpful at all. And we need to have a community filled with compassion, and we need to support these people. And Senator Hughes, I know that you're a big supporter with the whole reentry, and that's my focus. And I have a lot of causes, but prisoner reentry is one of them, because I think every single person deserves a second chance. So I'm asking people and you guys all to consider, if you are an employer, to give people another chance. Help them find a job. Give them an opportunity to succeed. We need to build healthy connections in this community, and by bashing people and just being cruel isn't helping at all. We need to support them. And I just encourage every one of you to open your hearts and your minds and to know that addiction has no boundaries. It does not discriminate. It can happen to every family. It's happened to mine. And I just think everyone deserves another chance. So I appreciate your efforts. I am totally supportive of PCC being reopened. I worked there for 4 years. It's a fabulous institution. I do not think that prison should be private. I've seen the damage that they have done. They're not well trained. Alaska Department of Corrections has very, very well trained officers. We need to keep that going. So thank you.
Thank you, Berg, because I'm going to butcher your name. And I always want to say thank you for always your live streaming for our town hall meetings and events.
Anytime. My name is Bert Hoftelling. Many of you guys know me who are more politically correct as Polita Richard. For everybody else, I'm known as Polita Dick. Facebook, YouTube, and soon a website coming out. I really thank all of you guys for having this town hall today. It is nice to see representatives that have stood fast against the corruption that I am and many of us here are seeing happening within our government out there. It is outrageous to see you guys being forced to follow caucus rules, to blatantly have to keep your mouths shut and not talk about what is going on there in Juneau, because people that are in power are telling you that you're not allowed to speak up. If you do, you will be stripped of all of your offices, your committees, any say you have for your constituents. This year, I know you guys the handcuffs have been taken off. I know why you voted the way you guys voted last year. Your guys' hands were tied behind your back. Too many things that are happening this year were on the line that had to make you toe the line. Hopefully, we'll be able to see you this year speak up, stand out against those. As I've heard several times here today, we would love to see you shut our government down if they do not want to start acting like civilized people. Fight against the corruption that we see going on within our government. We are tired of listening to the special interest control the narrative. I was recently at a town hall that was in Eagle River with the Chamber of Commerce with Von Inhofe there, and listening to her talk about the Rasmussen Foundation and how ski trails and all these other special interest things were important to her to have done. And this is why she was justifying taking our half of the PFD. It had nothing to do with health care. It had nothing to do with homeless. She blatantly pointed out her Rasmussen Foundation. She pointed out the ski trails. She talked about grooming for the snowmobile trails. I have it all recorded. It's all been live streamed for everybody here to be able to see. Again, I thank you guys for what you're doing here, and this year I really do. Again, hopefully take the handcuffs off, throw them back into their faces, and say it's time to make a change within our government. Us Alaskans are ready for it. Thank you.
Now, Lauren Vince. Followed by Amy Henry. And for those, again, that want to have a chance, opportunity to speak, please make sure you sign up in the back.
My name is Lauren Bretz. I recently moved out here to the Valley, and your politics, I love it. I wasn't going to speak today like many others, but I've heard my favorite topic, bond debt reimbursement. And for the life of me, I don't understand why we encourage communities to incur debt. If there's revenue to be shared, let's just share it, not encourage them to incur debt so they can have part of that revenue. Nonprofits. I know in the past they've come and asked for money from the state for whatever worthy project they had or unworthy project they had. We have a system for that. Let the people decide to pick, click, and give. If that's the way you can handle a nonprofit.
Last, we have Amy Henry.
My name is Amy Henry, and I'm from Wasilla, Alaska. I'm just going to go down some notes I took. So there are over 8,000, or there are about 8,000 nonprofits. I believe they need to prove their worth. It isn't right to pluck my feathers to fill your consort's pillows. There's a lot of chop and ship, not many ports, not many roads out of Alaska. Where are all those cars that are getting stolen? Efficiency audits, spend it all so I get more. That's not quite right, and that's not smart. All need to pay property taxes. That's not going to be popular. Nonprofits, seniors, yes, even vets. My ex was a vet. I turned 65 this month. Happy birthday to me. But all need to have skin in the game. That's only fair. That's right. Wages and benefits of public employees must be in line with the private sector. Last I did the math, there was 1 employee per 88 residents. That seems kind of silly. Family is the foundation of a healthy society. We must work at building families. We need to support parents and their children. I think the public schools have become the Trojan horse of our culture. They need to bow out of the cultural wars. It isn't their place to support cultural deviations. No non-academic or sports club should be allowed. Alaska needs a Proposition 13 type system. I pay lots in taxes. There's my sin taxes and there's my sales tax. On $200,000 worth of property, I pay over $6,200 a year, and that's absurd. To those that say we pay no taxes, I say you are liars. We have a fundamental right to face our accusers. Anonymous reporting is morally wrong, especially when it comes to OCS and those kind of things that interfere with families. Blue Cross Blue Shield should not be setting medical fees. I think that we should go to what Medicare is paying. And finally, there are too many felonies. They've been handed out like candy at Halloween. Pot charges need to be erased from people's records. We need to wipe the slate after, ask the specialists, but so many years with these drug-involved crimes when people are clean, we need to go in and purge the records. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.
We'll just double check back with Angie to see if there's anyone else on the list. Oh, one more. And after that person, I believe Nick Paul will be next.
Hello. Thank you for letting me be here. My name is Teresa Armistead, and I was not planning on speaking. I only am because I haven't heard my issues brought up in full. And my first one is agriculture. We live in a state that has amazing opportunities in agriculture, and young farmers are not getting, I don't want to say support because I'm not asking you to give them money except to buy the products. What I'm asking is, why is farming so hard here? Why does the state not support young farmers? Our taxes are outrageous, land prices are outrageous, and it's hard. And the second thing I want to bring up, only because nobody else did, is we did talk about crime a little bit here today, but I want to make the penalties for crime much more severe. We heard someone speak on addiction and how it can happen in any family. I can't speak to that, but I can speak to other severe crimes such as murder, pedophilia, and rape. And the penalties for those crimes should be enough to deter those things happening in the numbers. We lead the nation in rape, pedophilia, and murder. We have a terrible problem, and I can speak to that because my family has suffered terribly because of a murder this year. We have teens killing each other. It's insane. Those suspects, once they are convicted, should have a sentence so severe that it speaks to the other potential murderers and rapists and pedophiles. And thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Nick Brockett. I am an American citizen. I am an Alaska resident. I am a veteran, and I'm a patriot. Okay, and I want to address something to everybody in this room because I've heard people come up and say, "What can I do?" Well, all of you, your primary job is to protect our rights. Okay? And the first right that you need to protect is our liberty because it's being eroded all the time, on every level. I read this book 20 years ago and got started educating myself on how this is supposed to work. And without our liberty, we have nothing. All these problems can be addressed if we are free to do so. Our founding fathers pledged what? Their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. That's what liberty is. There's a Chinese proverb that says, the value of something is determined by what you're willing to pay for it. Think about that. They were willing to pay their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor.
When I go out and hang things on people's doorknobs or hold up a sign someplace, and I ask somebody, hey, you want to come along and help? Oh, Silvers are running this weekend. A couple fish is more important than your liberty. The value of something is determined by what you are willing to pay for it. I don't know about everybody else, but when our founders came home, a lot of them, their fortunes were in ashes and their loved ones were in graves.
That's right.
And you're going to sell it out for a couple fish, or it's my bowling night? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't walk. Well, what you can do is sit on your butt and make phone calls and support these people here who are your representatives, and they're standing between you and tyranny. And it's our job to protect you by supporting you. I'm not rich. I'm on a limited income, but I'll send a couple $100 to you or you or you if I think that you are supporting liberty. And I judge every one of you here by whether or not you are for control or liberty. Okay? A guy by the name of John Stuart Mill said, the only conditions humans live under is control and liberty. So that's what I judge your bills by, I judge the laws by, and I judge all of you by. Are you increasing our liberty or control? I thank you all for helping, but the people behind me, I see the same ones helping me on the street, and everybody should be up here. Nobody's asking for your blood. Nobody's asking for your property. Just a little of your time. Thank you all.
Name's Lloyd Thurman, District 8. Just want to thank you guys for being here. Just want you to put more skin into the game, more blood and sweat and tears. And I do thank you for doing it. I can't beat what Rick here had to say as far as our founding fathers who gave us those liberties and what the price that they literally paid. Because they truly did. Their fortunes wiped out. It was really bad. And we're just playing games. Here's what we're doing. And I want to thank you, David Eastman, for going through the ridicule that you did of that ethics committee that was so unethical, because I was there during the whole portion, and there was absolutely zero information. They had nothing, absolutely nothing, and they refuted it every single way. And yet they went ahead, and that unethical committee then went ahead and said that you had done wrong, and you did no wrong whatsoever. And I just want to thank you for how you've been standing up for everything, all along, every way. You're a man. For the rest out here, it's more like what Rick was saying. It's the same people over and over. You've got to get more involved. The problem is they want to do what they can, but they're limited. We need to go into other districts. We need to go in to be able to fight and to be able to go on doorknobs, to do everything, to make phone calls. We have to, and if we don't, all these liberal things, they beat us out just by a little bit. So we have to. If you're not doing more than what you are now, you're not doing enough. You've got to do more because they're killing us just a little bit at a time, and they're just eating us like a cancer. So you have to say, okay, the Republican Assembly back there with Mike, get involved. Say, hey, I can make some phone calls. I can do this. I can do that. Give some of your time because they're killing us. And if we think we're winning, we're wrong because look at how far we've come down. So I just want to thank y'all very much for the work. And please, truly, it's going to take, Mike, thank you so much. I know I haven't heard yet, and I guess I'll hear later whether y'all have been stripped of your committees or not. But they can only do so much. We can do a whole lot more than what we are doing, and if we don't, these liberals, these socialists, and that's literally what they are, are going to keep bleeding us and they're like a boa constrictor. Well, the whole portion, they just keep taking a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And the portion is you can't breathe and they keep sucking the blood out of us, and that's what's going on. They're killing us a little bit at a time. So guys, get involved, participate. Not so much, and I don't care what they all think, but not so much with the grand old party, the Republican Party, because they are part of the problem. So find some of these others, such as Mike's group back there, the Assembly, get on the phone, start doing something, guys, because they can only do so much. But we've got to also start transitioning into some of these other districts where they need some help and getting some people in that will have conservative perspectives on stuff. So seriously think about this, really, guys, on an individual, personal. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about all of you. So I'm not chiding you, but in another way I'm saying, hey, light a fire under your own butt and start moving. Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Again, thank you for all that came to listen and to testify. We're just going to do a quick, as we have everyone go 2 minutes or less, we're going to ask each legislator to wrap their final comments up in 2 minutes or less. We'll start on this side of the table this time with Eastman. Pass the mic down. And we'll have heat time.
Okay. All right. Well, 2 minutes or less. Nate Eastman again. You know, in the legislature down in Juneau, we're really good at tapping ourselves on the back. You know, we kind of make a profession of it. A lot of folks down there. So I got to say, I appreciate the encouragement that you give to each of us, but you know, make sure it's on target to specific things that we are doing, so that we know exactly what it is that you're applauding us for. The general claims of encouragement, and y'all are doing great, just keep it up. Bounce. Politicians, we get too much of that anyways. If you have something that you are on fire about, that you want to help fix in our state, come to us, you know, come to me. Let's figure out a way to put that passion and energy to good use. Corruption is rampant in our state. It's horrible, it's terrible, it's in every square inch of our state. It's got an issue, and it's got a problem, and it could use your standing up and being a part of it. And that doesn't come easy. You know, I know, one of my constituents was up here talking earlier about all the retaliation that they're suffering just for standing up and saying what needs to be said. And legislators do as well. Sometimes legislators get up there and the state agencies they're talking about fire right back and they get intimidated. I see a lot of legislators intimidated down in Juneau. So if you want to help, that's the score. There's a lot of help that we could use, and appreciate you being here and listening and talking. If you want to follow up on any of the conversations here, I'll be around for a little while. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do want to thank you all for coming down. It takes a lot of time. It does. It takes time to come down here. It takes time to listen to us. It takes time for you to tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you feel. We appreciate your letters. We get a lot of letters, but I don't believe we get enough. I'm really serious about that. I don't believe the voice is loud enough. And I would appreciate it if we could get more letters from you. Those that have something to say, something to add, and something that request from us. Because the amount of letters that we get is really thin. We get them from the rest of the state, and it's the other side of the argument, you know? And so if we're going to hear your side of the argument, it's got to be loud. Because I think we're all working. We all have jobs. You're all working. You all have jobs. And you're trying to feed your families. And a lot of the voices that we're hearing from are not working. Or they have government jobs. Or they have a lot of time on their hands. And that voice is actually louder than yours. I just want to say I appreciate you for coming down. I hope we're doing a good job. We're going to have an even harder fight when we get there this year. It's not going to be any more fun. I think the lines are drawn in the sand already. They've been forming all this summer. And we appreciate your support. We thank you for the encouragement that you've given us today. And I just want to thank you all for coming down.
It's going to sound like a big thank you group, but honestly, thank you very much for coming out today. I don't want to just repeat and sound like a mockingbird, but I know how hard it is to get up and stand and say what you're thinking in front of a group of people. It can be intimidating. And then we ask you to do it over and over and over again, and that can be exhausting. But we need that, and we appreciate you. You guys are the core group of people here in this room that are willing to come forward and testify and do the things you need to do. And I know that it's tiring, and we have to get others involved.
That's right.
We have to get our neighbors involved. We have to talk to people. We have to get the young people involved. Oh my goodness. You know, my poor children can't come to my house without getting some kind of lesson. Everybody knew that all along from the time they were little kids who was sitting at the table and listening. But, you know, you guys know that. But we need to get others. And it's not just for our area. If we want to have liberty, if we want to have those things that are important to us, we have to spread further than just here. We're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to ourselves. Right. So we ask you to speak to us over and over again. And I'm sorry, we have public testimony. We say, hey, please call in. But we really do need you to call in. I just want to talk that I appreciate the comments on the budget. We're watching that budget. We're looking for those efficiencies. I want to just talk about the spending cap. Don't be fooled by a spending cap that doesn't control spending. Look, later on I'll be putting out some information on that to help people to see that. You know, I think that we have one right now, but we need one that actually controls spending. Yeah. You know, it doesn't do a lot of good to have something on the books that doesn't do the job that it needs to do. Anyway, I'm just going to pass this on and I'll be here. Thank you again for your participation.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today. I truly appreciate it. You're in the heart of my district, and knowing that you took the time on this very cold day to come here really does mean a lot to both myself and all of us here. And I wanted to reflect just really quickly about the last year with some of our accomplishments. You know, we heard from many of you, we heard from neighbors and others who said, we want a repeal of Senate Bill 91. We accomplished that. We want a reduction in the budget. We accomplished that to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Public safety was one of the highest priorities. We continue to work on that. Presence in the valley will increase. The other pieces too are our infrastructure. Rino roads, bridges, ports. It's all part of what it is that we need to do to help expand the Mat-Su Valley so that economic development can happen. We will continue to work with our local government on that, and that's on the forefront. The other part too is the budget. I served with Rep. Tilton on the budget, and my last year was my first real chance to go through the budget line item by line item and just to see where are we finding efficiencies in the state budget. And I'll tell you, there are so many areas that don't meet what I would look for a performance standard for how we pay for government services. Somebody talked about education, another talked about the administration department, etc. All of that should have a component that has a true accountability measure with it, a performance, if you will. Yeah. And that's what I'll be looking at when I get down to Juneau again. I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to look into every corner I can because I know there's areas to reduce the budget. People say, you know, we've cut it to the bone. I guarantee you we haven't. We still have a huge deficit. I think it's $1.6 billion. That's a huge amount of money. We need to continue to, again, comb through the budget, see where we can find reductions and find efficiencies. Again, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, I've been asked to let the moderator be last. I am so grateful for each and every one of you, and I really, really value the input. If you're someone that did not speak up and there's something you'd like to say, even if it's maybe in disagreement with some of the things, it's important for us to listen to you. That's a priority for me, and I believe it is for everyone up and down this table. I am going to be proposing a bill regarding a state audit, and many have asked what can we do, and some of you were giving instructions. One of the things is when you write us, when you email us, Don't just do it to us, but do it statewide. Do it to all the legislators. And when you speak at a public hearing, you're not just speaking to us, you're speaking at legislators from around the state. That's very important. Another thing is, you know people that live in Anchorage and Fairbanks and Southeast and Western Alaska, and get them engaged. That's really important, that they call in and that they email. Just touching on a couple things I'm also going to be working on, which you are all welcome to help and give feedback and be involved. One is recidivism reduction. That is stopping the revolving doors for our offenders. More than 63% of those that come out of our system, our prison system, will commit other crimes and create new victims. That has to stop. That is step 2 of reducing crime. And we will have to address substance abuse and mental health as part of that. So that's a huge, big focus of mine. The other one is education. A lot of people know we are at the bottom of the barrel in our country, and I've got an education bill that's been folded into a Senate Education Committee bill, which gives me hope that it can move forward, and there is support in both bodies, in both parties, and the governor has got a read by 9 policy. It's not some fancy new program. It's really just going back to basics and making sure the kids learn what they're supposed to do before they're promoted to the next grade. It will be a game changer in the kind of Alaska we have in the future. Because education is supposed to be the great equalizer, but if children don't learn to read, then they're not successful. They may get a piece of paper, a diploma, but they're going to be the ones that would go out and commit crimes and be unmedicated and be on public assistance. If we can truly make sure our children learn what they're supposed to learn, we will have a different Alaska in 10, 15 years. So this is a really an important priority. And then lastly, I so appreciate what was said about liberty and opportunity, because that's what's going to make our state great. We do need to diversify our economy. We need to make sure people have jobs, and so that's always going to be a focus. I love that, actually, about the Republican platform, is the fact that it's all about opportunity and liberty, and that's what will make our state great. And you know, I truly believe in my deepest point in my heart that our best days, Alaska's best days, are ahead. So we're going to keep fighting for you. We're going to keep standing up for the people of Alaska. Thank you.
Time myself. Well, somebody said something about intimidating. I think you guys know I'm not very intimidating, so just so you know what's going on. I made some comments about that thing I'm not supposed to talk about right now, but I will tell you this, that ultimately what this comes down to me, and Nick's words resonate, it's about freedom. I fought for that freedom. Our founding fathers fought for that freedom. We have a God-given free will. Taking away the free will of a legislator to do what they believe is right is not the way this needs to be taking place. And currently it is. So ultimately this all circles back to our constitutionally protected freedoms and what we should be allowed to do when you talk about this broader battle that we may be happening, because people have asked some pointed questions. What's going to happen to some of us? I don't know yet. But you may see some changes as far as who's in what position and what our ability is to influence the agenda and do things. Why? Because of a much broader issue that I'm not going to go into detail on right now, but I think you guys are all aware of it. It's starting to come into the public consciousness, and I think that's an important discussion that we need to have. How is Alaska run legislatively? What are we allowed to do? And what kind of a system do we want to have executed with our legislators in legislative session? These are discussions that we need to have. We need to have that debate, and we need to decide what we want. Okay, so
We got your back, Mike.
I know you do.
Yeah, we do.
I know. Okay, so yes, what do you do in person? In person is best. Write letters as well, those fine, but calling, that connection is important. A couple other quick things. You've said it, I'll say it again. You need to get involved. I didn't even say thank you. Why? Because thank you for letting us serve. But the bottom line is, we serve you. The word public servant is something we should be doing. We're not your masters, we're your servants. And that needs to be something. You want to know what you can do. It's been said, but I'm going to reiterate because it is critical, because I'm almost out of time. You can't do this in 2 minutes. Get involved. Nothing is going to change in Juneau if the same people go back. If you want it to change, then find other people. Find the candidates, reach out, donate. Go walk those neighborhoods. You don't need to walk these. We need you in Anchorage, we need you in Juneau, and Fairbanks, and Kenai, and places where people are not doing what they say they're gonna do. So stand up and help find other candidates if you don't like what is happening, but don't just do it with us. It's been said. We need you to do it in other places. And little things matter, folks. Can you imagine this group right here, this group, if you went and walked Anchorage for the right candidates, what difference you could make? Some of these neighborhoods were a couple hundred votes apart. One of them was 1 vote in Fairbanks. So I'm after my time. I know I'm going to get in trouble. David's going to look at me, so I'm just going to stop. I'll stay after. Thank you for your time.
Great, I get to follow Mike Shelley. That's why I was a little nerve-wracking. I just want to say today, you know, I'm really proud to be your representative. I'm really feel privileged. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I might get a little choked up. Because we endured, every one of us endured just a heck of a session last year that was so much coming at us that it really truly makes the encouragement that we heard this here mean so much. So I just want to say thank you, and I know we've all said that, and many people have said a lot of the stuff that I had written down, but I do wanted to say I love to come to these so I can hear your ideas, because I picked up a lot of different things and I wrote so much stuff down, but some of the things that I heard are really some great ideas. I heard about how, you know, if stolen goods don't have a market, then maybe there's something that we can look at. I wanted to say to Holly, who I've known for years, my whole life pretty much, there's no shame in being an advocate. Anybody that wants to be an advocate when the government's not doing something that they should be doing, there is no shame in speaking up and saying that that's not right. And that is not being a terrorist. That's doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's what Americans are supposed to be doing. And there's so many people in this room that I know you all work and do so much in your communities already. So I know this is a solid core group of people from the recycling center. We heard from teachers. We talked about, one of the things that stood out is, you know, why is the state asking or encouraging our communities to go in debt, particularly in the Mat-Su Valley, where we have to have schools because we're growing, and yet now, you know, that school bond debt reimbursement is something we have to look at. It's something that we've gotten ourselves into, and, you know, sometimes you might call it a bait and switch. However, it might be something we need to be aware of, and it's going to affect us, and it's probably going to affect us in the pocketbook. So many good ideas, many things in here I heard today. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for just the encouragement, and thank you for the privilege of being your representative.
First off, again, thanks. I'm not going to repeat a lot of things that were said. I want to address some of the issues directly that were addressed to us. First off, you know, I've heard a lot more about this caucus up here, and I can tell you that the folks sitting up here aren't afraid to take a vote. They're not afraid to take a vote. If you can't take a tough vote in the legislature, you shouldn't be there. These guys aren't afraid to take a vote, and they do their job every day. Secondly, we hear a lot about the PFD. I know that I stood next to people when we formed our Republican caucus in the House, stood shoulder to shoulder. They signed a piece of paper. We stood with Governor Mike Dunleavy, shook his hand. He said, we're going to stand next to you when it comes to time to decide the PFD, budget reductions, veto overrides. And guess what? A few of those legislators went over to the Democrats and decided not to do that. Nobody in this group did that. We stood strong and represented your views. You know, when asked what we can do to volunteer, I want to address a little bit of that. The first thing you can do is address those people in Anchorage. You know what? If a legislator tells you something and lies to you, get rid of them. It's as simple as that. Secondly, by the way, Lady Mountain Jim was a cool guy. I remember him greatly, and he came to every one of our meetings. He was a brother there. Secondly, you know, we talk about public safety, and I want to mention this. This is how important public safety is to the people who are there that represent and saves our lives every year. I see Tony April at every meeting we go to. He's the guy in the back, black guy in the back, big guy. He runs our Alaska State Troopers out of Trooper B Division. When I have a problem, I call Tony, it gets solved. You know, there's his boss there. I think I seen the Commissioner of Public Safety here, Amanda Price. Is that my friend Kelly Howell in the back? I think maybe you do, everybody recognize her. Denny Lloyd was up here. By the way, Denny Lloyd from Sourdough Farm. If anybody needs a gun, go talk to Denny. He'll set you up. But what we can do is, like, Denny is a volunteer in our community. He mentioned a pawn shop database and how it helped reduce crimes or stolen material coming through pawn shops by almost 90%. Denny and I worked with Kelly Howell with Alaska State Troopers to set that baseline. You know, it was done through volunteers and it's done to maximum. This is what you can do as volunteers. I see Ken Slauson. Ken came to me years ago and said, Mark, we need money for a training facility for a fire station on Connect. Now we have 6'2" out there. It's one of the best in the state. We have my chief of staff, Bill Gamble, came to me years ago and said, Mark, Big Lakes Fire Station, we have 7'2" out there. Now fully manned, one of the best in the state. And it's because these volunteers in our communities, I see Mike Coons, he's involved in so much for the seniors. And it's you people that help us do their job, your job. You communicate with us, you tell us we're doing a good job. OCS, it's a mess. You know, it is. We fight our kids, but you know what I see at the bottom line of all this? Just too much government. We have an education system. I see our teachers and talk to them, they get the tar beat out of them every time we come to these meetings. Yet, it's the government's fault. It ain't their fault our kids are having problems, but we have two education systems where it's unorganized and organized areas of the states. Average person in the Mansu's paying $250, $300 a month for education. Areas in other areas in the state pay nothing. And the people here are taxed to debt. They can't pay anymore. Yet they want more for education and keeps draining us out. We have two systems. It does not work. It needs to get done right. There is solutions to this stuff. The bottom line is if you want to just call us and talk to us, it's the best way to communicate. Mike was right. You know, what I do is I see legislators hide behind emails and do what they want. My policy is you want to talk to Mark, call my office, I want to talk to Mark, I give you a call personally. It's just old school, it's the way I am, it's how I operate. It's the best way we can do it to help communicate our souls and what we need. Again, I've met many of you over the years, probably just about everybody in this room one way or another. I've represented large areas of the state. I appreciate every one of you and what you do, whether you holler at us, no matter what, it's information. I gather a lot from that, but mostly you're here. You're involved, you're engaged, and you're learning. And that's the most important part. So thank you for that.
Again, thank you guys for coming. And you know, I think every year we do a legislative town hall, we have inclement weather, so you probably plan for next year's town hall. It's either prepare for snow, rain, snow, or just frigid cold temperatures. So again, thank you for the folks and the other community members that are also our local elected officials that didn't come up to speak, that are in the room, also hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you for your public service. We have information, our contact information, as Mark said. Please contact us. We're pretty responsive to everyone here at this table. I know that we'll return phone calls, return emails, or come out and meet you where you're at. So again, contact our information. Take a cookie on your way out. There's things that we're all going to be working on that we're going to need your help on. I think everyone said it best. You know, please just don't contact us, but email and CC other folks as well. I know that in the Senate we're going to need a lot of help, so please go ahead and preemptively just say, hey, we love our Matsu delegation, we love Mike Shower, we love Shelley Hughes. So please, you know, contact Cathy Giesel and let her know how much you love them. So, you know, again, we'll see a little bit afterwards. You know, please make sure and help keep this facility clean, and thank Wazi again for letting us host. Before you guys all bombard the Matsu delegation, there's been a request to do some group photos. We're going to take a quick photo, and then we're all yours. So thank you guys again for coming.
Thank you for everybody for tuning in today. I am going to continue to keep rolling live for a little while longer, maybe see about what else may happen today. really do appreciate. You should come and just don't forget to share. Facebook schools on you. If you don't share, this is one constituents meeting that I think everybody needs to hear. A lot of issues that were addressed today that needed to be aired. A lot of people got out what they've been feeling, and I certainly know I said what I wanted to say. Thank you again for joining us.
Senior Center,
Hi! I'm going to be on stage. Thank you.
I told people to go, I didn't know that, I didn't think Channel 2 was going to stream it, so I told people to go to Validity.
Nice. Did they actually?
Dick is short for detective.
Yes.
And I would start using that if I were you. Bragging my knee. Don't go, I want to meet you.
Will
they're all across there.
It's a white
Again, thank you all for joining us today. I am going to go ahead and drop off online now, and you guys all have a great evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend.